Long ago, it was said that those who wrote their wishes and hung them on their Christmas tree would see their hearts filled with joy and their dreams come a little closer to coming true. Write down your wishes on the included slips of paper and place them inside the ornament. Hang it on your tree or gift it to a loved one to create a meaningful holiday memory made with love just for you. Hang your wish, hold it tight, may it shine all through the night. Hello, welcome to Creating the Goods. I'm Wendy. Today we are making this beautiful wishing ornament and box gift set, just like this one here. It's a quick and festive project that adds magic to your tree and makes a thoughtful gift for someone special, whether that's a child, a teacher, or a coworker. I created 4 different story cards and tag designs for you. We have candy canes, we have a gingerbread, we have a silver snowflake, and a gold ornament. All of these are AI inspired, and the link is in the description box below. That's what inspired the Wishing Ornament Gift Set. This is the gold version ornament. But in today's tutorial, I'll be making the gingerbread version. Now, I know wishing ornaments aren't a new idea, and they've been around for quite some time. But this is my own version with all the matching cards, tags, and printable designs to make it extra special. So let's get busy. For this project, you will need a clear plastic ornament that opens in half, and this one is 4 inches. The brand is Make, and I got this at Michael's. I'm using 5/8 inch red ribbon, and I'm also going to be using this really pretty red and white decorative string. I'm using one 8.5 by 11 inch red glitter cardstock. It can be a bit hard to see on camera, but this cardstock is wonderful. The glitter doesn't shed and it still gives you that really pretty shine. I'm using two 12 by 12 solid core red cardstock from Michael, and I'm also using one 12 by 12 gingerbread candy cane cardstock by Park Lane. I'm also going to be using this transfer tape that I got at Walmart. I haven't used it yet, and I've heard some pros and cons, so we'll see how it does, and I'll let you know later in the video. I'm using red premium holographic threads, permanent vinyl from Cricut, some red gem stone stickers, and of course our story cards along with the tags. These are the free printables, and you will find the link in the description box below. I'm also using some slips of paper, and this is for writing the wishes and putting them into the Christmas ornament. I got it from Creative Fabrica, and it is digital paper. I'm using one white 65-pound cardstock for printing out the story cards and tags. I'll list everything I'm using in the description box below. And I'm also using my Maker 3, but you can use any Maker Air Explorer series for this project. So let's get busy, and I'll meet you in Cricut Design Space. Here we are in Cricut Design Space, and we need to get our design ready for our Christmas ball. I'm using this pretty Christmas script, letter E, with the decorative elements for a sweet little girl named Elizabeth. I just thought this was so adorable with the little Santa hat sitting on our letter E, the candy cane, some snowflakes, and this cute little gingerbread guy that goes perfect with our theme. I did find this Christmas E design from Cricut's library. It is part of Cricut Access, and if you don't have Cricut Access, I believe you just need to pay a small fee for the design if you would like to use it. Let me show you where I found it. Come over here to the left, click on Images. Okay, and as you can see, I was searching for Christmas letter designs, and there are so many cute ones. Here's an A that looks just like the one we have on our canvas. Look how cute. Here's a T. Let me see if we can find ours. Okay, and if you can't find it right away, how I searched for the design, I just typed in Christmas initials. And just clicked enter. Okay, look how cute. This was the one that I used for our gold version. I did bookmark ours so I could find it easily. So let me see if I can find it there. Let me click on bookmark. I need to click that. And here's our design. I'm just going to click on that and add it to our canvas. I'll move it over. It does come in pretty big, and I'm just going to remove this and click on the trash can. I am sizing it to 2 inches. I already tested this on our gold version you saw in the beginning, and the size gives the best visual balance on a 4-inch ornament. So let's come up here to the top, and we're going to keep the lock locked. I'm going to come over here to height, and I'm going to change the 5 to 2.0, and then just click enter, and that will keep our design proportionate. I want to change the color to red because that is the color vinyl that we are using, and this is just for visual effects. Whatever you put on your mat is the color that it will cut out. So let's come up here to the color box. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to change that to red. And that looks great. So all we need to do now is make it. So come up here to the right, click make. I am using a 12 by 12 mat. I don't need to put the mirror on. This is not HTV. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. Come down here and click continue. We are using Cricut's holographic red thread vinyl, so I need to search all materials. So let's click on browse all materials. Come up here to all categories. Come down to vinyl. Need to scroll down. And this is the one that we are using today, premium vinyl holographic threads. So I'll click on that, come down and click done. I need to change my pressure to more. I am using the fine point blade, so that is correct. So all I need to do now is load my mat. I'm using the green standard grip mat, and I'm using my brayer to make sure the vinyl adheres well and to remove any air bubbles and wrinkles. I'll press the load button and then the flashing go button. Before I unload the mat, I always check to make sure it cut all the way through. Now, if it didn't, do not remove the mat. Just press the go button again to run a cut a second time. In my case, it did cut out perfectly. So I'll go ahead and unload my mat. I like to weed right on my mat because it keeps everything steady and gives me a nice firm surface to work on. It's like having a third hand. Now, at first, everything was going smoothly. The vinyl was lifting up cleanly, and I thought, hey, this is going to be one of those easy weeding sessions. So I thought. But as you can see, I did run into a little bit of trouble. One of the tiny buttons on the gingerbread guy just did not want to go back onto the backing. I tried lifting it gently. I tried coming at it from a different angle, and it still wanted to hold on for dear life. This little button actually gave me trouble not only here in weeding, but also later when we applied the vinyl. Now, the eyes were also a little tricky. They slipped off into the negative vinyl, so I had to go and search for them. But I found them, placed them exactly where they needed to go, and after that, everything else weeded out beautifully. Now, sometimes it's the smallest pieces that make the biggest fuss. But honestly, this is just part of crafting. Little surprises like this teach us patience, and they make the final result even more satisfying. Now, see how beautiful that turned out? I'm just going to trim this up a little bit more. Next, I'll apply the transfer tape. I'm using Walmart standard Hello Hobby transfer tape. I'm not really a big fan of all the writing on it. I prefer a clear transfer tape so I can see my design without anything distracting in the background. I'll peel off the backing, place the transfer tape over my design, then I'll use my scraper to burnish it so it adheres well. Next, let's place this on our ornament. Here's our 4-inch ornament, and I think I forgot to mention that it is made out of plastic, which is nice because if it's dropped, it will not break.
I'm just going to cut the tag off, and as you can see, this ornament opens right in half. I'm just going to clean it thoroughly with some rubbing alcohol and a clean cloth to remove any of the oils and dirt. This really helps the vinyl stick better. I'm opening up the ornament, and I'm only going to be working with one half so it stays steady while I apply the vinyl. I'm going to burnish the design one more time on the transfer tape, just for good measure. Next, I'll remove the backing from the transfer tape. And guess what? See the button? It didn't want to stick again. I think I may have flipped it over when I was weeding. I don't know why this would make a bit of difference, but I just flipped it back over and that seemed to work. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim off the excess transfer tape around our design. Then what I'll do is I will take the scissors again and I will cut tiny slits into the transfer tape. This will help the design to lay flat. This also makes it more flexible so it will curve smoothly around the ornament. After that, I will fold the design like a taco. I'm going to place it right in the center of our ornament and then smooth it outward towards the sides, removing any of the bubbles and creases as I go. Then after that, I will peel off the transfer tape while continuing to smooth everything down. Now, another one of the buttons didn't want to release, but it just needed a little extra love. I feel Walmart's transfer tape did do a good job. I just don't like all the wording on it. What do you think? Let me know if you use this brand and what your thoughts are. Now, I did notice on the gingerbread that the little arm and one of the legs did have a crease. So what I did was I just lifted it carefully and then I'll carefully lay them back down and smooth them out. Okay, that looks great. Here's the digital slips of paper that the wishes will be written on. And I got this from Creative Fabrica. It's just a digital paper that I just printed out and I've already cut strips. I cut 4 1-inch by 8-inch slips, but you could cut and add as many as you want. You could also change the sizes if you so choose. I'm just going to fold them up. After we get them all folded, we will place them inside our ornament. Next, let's make our bow. This type of bow with a hanger can easily be removed when the ornament needs to be opened and then reapplied again without disrupting the bow or hanger. I'm using this jar, which has some weight to it so it won't slide around during creating our bow. The size jar you use will determine the size and length of the loop that hangs the ornament on the tree. I'm using 5/8-inch ribbon that I've already cut to around 31 inches. I'm going to wrap it around the jar evenly. I'll take the ribbon on the left side and cross it over to the right side, and then I will bring it up through the middle and make it tight. Take your left index finger and place it on the right side of the ribbon. Bring the ribbon up over your finger, making a loop. Then pinch the loop with your thumb and index finger to hold it into place. Then take your middle finger and place that on the loop. Hold that down with your thumb. Then just take your left index finger, pull up the loop, making it larger and lightly twisting it back and up. Now, slowly remove your left index finger. Your right index finger and thumb will now hold this into place. And your left hand will now take the left side of the ribbon, bring that up to make a loop, and then slide that into the middle loop. Just pull the 2 loops to make your bow. Make it tight and fix it to your liking. Then slide it off the jar, and you may need to fiddle with it some. Okay, that looks nice. Now, let's place it in the top hole of our ornament. I'm just going to pinch the ribbon together, and then I'll fold it in half. Then I'll slide it into the hole. The hole is quite small, so you really don't want any wider ribbon than the 5/8 inch ribbon that is what I'm using. We'll slide that into the top, and I'm going to adjust the loops. And then what I'll do is I'll just take my scissors and I'll cut the ends evenly. Oh, that came out wonderful. What do you think? Here's our story cards and tag designs. Let me read you the story that is on our story card. Long ago, it was said that those who wrote their wishes and hung them on their Christmas tree would see their hearts filled with joy and their dreams come a little bit closer to coming true. There's also instructions to the person that you are giving it to. Write down your wishes on the included slips of paper, place them inside the ornament, hang it on your tree, or gift it to a loved one to create a meaningful holiday memory made with love just for you. And the little tag that will be added to our Christmas ball says, hang your wish, hold it tight, may it shine all through the night. And I just thought these were just wonderful. Anybody who is receiving it will think the same way. Let me show you how to upload these in Cricut Design Space. Let's come over here to upload. As you can see, I have already uploaded the 4 designs. I wanted to make sure that they uploaded correctly. Let's come up here and click Upload Image, click Browse, and here's our 4 designs. Quick note for you, I am not a professional designer, so I want to be transparent about these files. I made 4 different story card and tag designs on 4 separate pages. When I saved them as an SVG and uploaded them to Design Space, they came in as black boxes. When I uploaded as a PNG, they worked but couldn't be ungrouped. So to make it easier for you, each design story and matching tag is on its own page. I also have included these instructions inside the free download, so you'll have step-by-step instructions when you upload your story card and tags to Cricut Design Space. I'm going to click on the red PNG. This is the one we'll be working on today. I'll click Open. Then I'll come down and click Continue. You'll see there is a white background and we need to remove it. So I'll just click on that and that will become transparent. Come down here, click Apply and Continue. I'm going to click Flat Graphic. This is a print and cut, and then click Continue. At this point, you can name your image. You could add some tags if you want to be able to find it easier later. You could also add it to one of your folders if you so choose. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to come down and click Upload. Okay, and here's our design on our canvas. I'm just going to come down and make this a little bit bigger so we can see what we are doing. At this point, I want to be able to separate them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, right click, and then click Duplicate. So now I have 2. You could have came up here to the plus sign and did the same thing. All right, so I'll click on this one, come down and click Contour. I'm going to click Hide All Contours and then click Apply. So now we have our tag by itself. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one, come down and click Contour. At this time, I'm going to just click on the tag and then click Apply. So now we have our story card and our tag that is separate. Next, what I want to do is I want to size each of them. So let's start with our story card. Come up here to the top, unlock the lock. I'm going to change the width to 2.25. And I will change the height to 3.50. And then I'll just lock the lock. Okay, and that looks great. Next, I'll do our tag. Again, come up here to the top, unlock the lock. I'm going to put this to 0.90. And then for the height, I will make this 2.65. And then I'll just lock the lock. Okay, so now we have them separated and measured. Next, what I want to do is I want to add a little hole So that way we could put our string through it. You could also use a hole puncher, but I just rather have the maker cut it out for me. So let's come over here to shapes. Click on a circle. I see it all the way up here, so let me bring it down. There we are. Let's make that a little bit smaller so we can work with it. Bring it onto our tag, and I'm going to size that down more till I get to the size I'm looking for. And there we have it, is 0.10. And that's perfect. Okay. What I'm going to do is I want to align it, so I'm going to highlight both layers. Come up here to the pencil, click on that, click Align, and then click Center Horizontal, and that's perfect. Okay, so now we need to make the hole. So again, I will highlight both layers, come down and click Slice. And there they are. So I'll just remove these, delete. Okay, so now we have our tag with the hole, as well as our story card separated, as well as measured. All we need to do now is print. I have already uploaded the other three. I sized them and I made holes. So I'm just going to use that to print. So let me just close these off. Let's find our group. There they are. Just make it a little smaller so we can see them. Perfect. Let me just show you one other thing. Right here, it has this little triangle. Click on it. It says low resolution. This image will print poorly. For best results, make it smaller or use a new image with higher resolution. I already tested this. I printed it out. I had no problem. So I'm just going to continue, come up here and click Make It. I am using cardstock, 65 pounds. So I'm just going to click 8.5 by 11. I don't need to mirror it. So I'll come down here and click Continue. I'm going to send it to the printer. Click Next. I'm using my Epson ET 8550 series. I only want one copy. I'm going to turn off the bleed. I am going to toggle on the user system dialog. Then I'm going to come down here and click Print. If your dialog box doesn't pop up right away, it might be behind Cricut Design Space. Here is my printer. I'm printing in color. I'm going to make sure I toggle that on. Your system dialog box may be different, all depending on what printer you are using. Letter is 8.5 by 11. Media and quality, I want to make sure that the paper comes from my main tray. The media type is cardstock 1. And I'm going to click on Best. So all I need to do now is click Print. Now that we have printed that out, we need to set our base materials. I'm using 65-pound light cardstock, so I'll click on that. I'm also going to click on More Pressure, and I am using my fine point blade. So all I need to do now is load my mat. I'm using the light blue mat, which is perfect for cardstock or anything that needs a lighter grip and doesn't need to be held down too firmly. While this is cutting, I'd love to hear what kind of projects you are making right now and what kind of projects you enjoy the most. For me, I really enjoy projects like this, a mix of cardstock, vinyl, and absolutely something that is giftable. Those are always my go-tos. Here are all 4 story cards and their matching tags. They're all ready to go. Now, let's move on and get our gift box set up in Cricut Design Space. Here's our ornament box template. I added a few things and I changed a few things. So let me show you what I did. I'll click on the template, then I'll come over to the layers panel, and I'll click on the eye to hide this for now. So this will give us more room to work. Let's come over here to the left and click upload. I've already uploaded our template from Creative Fabrica, so let's click on that and I'll add it to our canvas. Let me close this. Before I do anything, I need to make sure our dimensions are correct. According to the directions, it should be 15.8 by 13.6. So let's come up here to the top. We're going to unlock the lock and I'm going to put in 15.8 and 13.6. And then I'll just lock the lock. Okay, we need to change some of the cut lines to score lines. So I'm going to come up here to the right and I'm going to click Ungroup. I'm going to start with this decorative piece. This goes on the front of our box. But before I do that, let me zoom in a little bit so we can see what we are doing. Let's right click and click Ungroup. Over here in the Layers panel, you will see the decorative piece and this line that says Base to Cut. I'm going to click on that, go up to the top, and change it from Basic Cut to Score. Now, this is extending a little too much, so let's bring it in just a little bit. I also want to change the color. We're going to be using a pretty red glitter cardstock. So let's come up here to the top and click on the color box and change it to red. Then I will highlight both layers, come down here, and click Attach. Next, let's look at the lid that goes on top of the box. You can right-click also to ungroup, and that's what we'll do. Now, you will see two cut lines as well as the box lid. These 4 cut lines will create the tabs, which will help to form the lid. We will leave these alone. These 4 lines are the score lines, so let's come up to the top, change this from cut to score. And I'm also going to change the color of the lid to a pretty red because we are also using red for our box. Highlight all the layers and then click Attach. Next we have our insert, which sits inside of the box. It's where the Christmas ball will sit. I'll right click and click Ungroup. Again, you will see 2 sets of cut lines. This one needs to stay as a cut line. This will help to form our insert. This one is our score line. So I will come up to the top, I'll change this to score, and then again, I'll change the color to red. I'll highlight all the layers and click Attach. I'm not going to use this piece. This is what sits on top of the ornament inside the box. I will just right click and then click Delete. Okay, here is our box. I'm just going to turn this around. I'm going to just move this over a little bit. Okay, so that's the one side of the panel of our box. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit and move some of these out of our way so we have more room to work. Now, the box only has score lines, so I will right click and click Ungroup. I'll hold down my Shift key on my computer, click on both the score lines, go up to the top, change them from cut to score. I'm also going to change the color, so I'll come over to the Layers panel. I'll hold down my Shift key on my computer, click on each side of the box, then I'll come up to the top and I'll click on the color box and click on red. I'm not going to attach the score lines just yet. I want to make some panels for our box. This will make the box sturdier and give it a more finished look. Let's go to Shapes here on the left, click on a square, bring it onto one of the sections of the box. I'll go up to the top and I'll change the color to white. I'll unlock the lock, then I'll resize it using these handles so it fits nicely inside, but it doesn't cover the entire surface, just leaving a small border. I'm going to right click to duplicate another panel, and this one will be used to make a panel for our oval window. I do want to make it a little wider because when I fold the crease on the box, I want the panels to meet. Okay, and that looks good. Now, I want to cut a hole in this panel, but first I need to remove our score lines because we can only cut out 2 layers at a time. So let's come over here to the Layers panel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on our score lines, and I'm just going to click on the eye, and this will hide our score lines for now. Then I will highlight both layers, come down to the bottom right, and click Slice. I'll delete this inner piece. Then I'll carefully move the panel away. You'll notice the panel also sliced through to the box. Do not move anything. Just highlight the layers, come down to the bottom where it says Combine. Click on that, and then click Weld to make it one solid piece again. Now, let's make a panel for the other side of our window. What I'll do is I'll right-click and click Duplicate, go up to the top, click on the pencil, and click on Flip, then click Horizontal. Now we have one for the other side. Okay, great. Next, what we need to do is attach the score lines to our box. So let's move our panels out of the way. Go over to the Layers panel and click the eyes to unhide our score lines. I see that they are in the back of our box, so what I'll do is I'll go up to the top where it says Arrange, and then I'll click on Bring to the front. I'll highlight both layers and click Attach. I'll do that with the other section as well. I'll bring the panels back onto our box, arranging them to the front of the box. Now, I do need to add one more panel for this section also. So once again, I will right-click and duplicate the panel, and then I'll just place it on to the section of our box. I'll bring back the other sections of our box, and I also want to add a panel for the top of the box as well as the bottom of the box. So let's come over here to Shapes, click on a square. I'll add that to the top of our box. I'll go up to the top and I'll unlock the lock. I'll change the color to white. I'll use these little sizers and size it so it fits nicely on the top of our box, but not covering the whole surface. Okay, now I also need to have a panel for the bottom of our box. So what I'll do is I'll just right-click and click Duplicate, and this will be used for the bottom of our box. Next, we need to make sure that our decorative piece fits nicely over the opening of our box. So I'll just bring that to the front. I'll put that on top of our window, and I'll size it, making sure to cover the whole opening of our box. Just bringing that in. Okay, and that looks great. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and make sure everything looks good. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust my panels. Okay, and that does look good. I'll highlight everything, then I'll come up here to the right and click on Group. And I'll just move this out of the way for now. Finally, let's create our matching gift card holder that will be used for our story card. I also found this in Cricut's library. So let's come over here to Images. And what I did was I just typed in gift card holder. And as you can see, this is in my recent searches. So I'll just click on that. I'll scroll down, and here's the one that we will be using. I'll click on it to add it to our canvas. I'm just going to spin it around so it faces right side up. You can also come up to the top and just click it to vertical. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing. I'll right click and click on Group. Now, here in the Layers panel, you can see it is already set to score, so we don't need to change anything. But I do want to change the color, so I'll come up to the color box and I'll change it to white. Then I'll go over to the Layers panel, hold down my Shift key on my computer, click on the score lines and the tag, come down and click Attach. Okay, let's change the color of our canvas so it will give us a better view of what we are doing. I'll come down to the bottom of our Layers panel, click on the little color box where it says Background Color. I'll just change that to a gray. Okay, and that's a lot better. I'm going to bring our story card over, which I already have a copy of it in our Layers panel. So in the Layers panel, I'll just unclick the eye, bring our story card over to the holder. I'll place it on top. I do want to size the gift card holder so the story card fits nicely and the gift card holder fits nicely in our box. I already know what our dimensions should be, so I'm going to come up to the top, unlock the lock. The width will be 3.07 and the height will be 7.73, and then I'll just lock the lock. I'll just bring it to the front, and as you can see that it will fit perfectly. I'll just send it to the back again. Okay, and that looks great. I'm just going to zoom out. All we need to do is make it. But first, I'm just going to remove our story card because we have already printed that out. So I'll just come over here to the layers panel and I'll just click on the eye to hide it. Then I'll just come up to the top and I'll click make it. Each mat simply has the words score and basic cut, indicating the operation it will perform. This first mat has our panels and the gift card holder. I'm using a 12 by 12 mat and I'm just going to move these pieces a bit so they are not too close to the border edge. Next is our box, also on a 12 by 12 mat. I'll just adjust those shapes away from the border as well. The decorative piece is on its own mat because it's a different shade of red. For that one, we are using 8.5 by 11 inch red glitter cardstock. So I'll just change the mat size to 8.5 by 11. I want the panels and gift card holder to cut first, so I'll go back and click on that mat. Then I'll scroll down and click continue. For the base material, I'm choosing medium cardstock, 80 pounds, and setting the pressure to more. I'm using the fine point blade. I also need to edit my tools since I'm using a scoring stylus. So I'll select that and click apply. Now we are ready to cut. I'll add my gingerbread cardstock to my light blue mat. Then I will use my brayer to make sure everything adheres nicely. Then I'll load my mat to my machine. I'll add my stylus to clamp A, press the load button, and then press the flash and go button. For the remainder of the box pieces, I'll cut those off camera just to save a little time. Now that everything is cut, I've already folded most of the pieces to save time. I just had this one last one to do. I'll take my bone folder and run it along the crease to make a nice crisp fold. Next, I'll fold and glue the gift card holder. I'm just using a quick drying craft glue called Bow Stick, and I think I got this at the dollar store. You can use double-sided tape if you prefer. I like glue because it gives you more of a working time. It makes it easier to adjust things. I'm just adding a thin line. A little really does go a long way. I'm just going to press and hold until it sets into place. Which do you prefer, double-sided tape or glue for projects like this? I do switch it up sometimes, but I always come back to glue. Okay, once it feels like it's holding, I'm just going to place it over to the side and let it continue to dry. Now for the box lid, I'm folding the flaps inward, adding a little glue to each, then pressing them into place. These corners don't take long to set, which is nice. I like to use just a small amount of glue here because it really pays to be patient and avoid any oozing. That's what I always told my students. ... not a lot, just a tiny bit is all you need for this paper to catch. I hate it when you get that glue seepage. I just keep repeating that same process for the other tabs until the lid is secure, making sure everything lines up nicely. And now that the lid is finished, we can just move on to our next piece. Next is the base insert where the ornament will sit. Again, I'm just adding glue to the tabs and securing them. Even though this is a simple piece, this insert is important because it keeps the ornament centered and protected while the box is closed. We don't want that ornament rolling around in there. I'll just take a moment to lightly press and hold these tabs to make sure the corners are lined up evenly and glued nicely along the edges. Do any of you enjoy assembling 3D paper projects like this? I find them really relaxing once you get into the rhythm of it. Now I'm ready to start assembling the main box. Before I do anything else, I'll take a moment to make sure all the edges line up cleanly and sit exactly where they're supposed to. Once everything looks even, I'm just going to sharpen that crease using my bone folder, running it right along the fold to make it nice and crisp. After that, I'll add glue to this tab, applying a light even amount from the top to the bottom of the tab. I don't want to use too much because that can cause it to ooze out and make a mess, so a thin coat is all you need. Then I'll bring the tab over to the opposite side, making sure the edges meet just right before I commit. Once they're lined up, I'll fold the tab over, smooth it down with my fingers, then press both sides together, working along that seam so everything bonds securely. This step really gives the box its shape and sets the whole project up for a clean, polished finish. Okay, once that first section is holding, I'll start adding the decorative panels. Even though these don't have a specific direction or pattern to match up, I still like to lay them out for a moment first. It just helps me get a feel for the spacing and decide which pieces I want to place where. I'm going to start on one of the outer sides of the box. I always begin with this panel because it sets the tone for the rest and gives me a clear guide. So I'll add some glue, not too much, and then I'll press it into place. I make sure there's an even border going around the panel, giving it a little slide to the left or right until it's straight. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'll smooth it down so it really adheres well. Now that this first outer panel is set, we can move right to the oval window pieces. I'll add glue to the back of the first panel, not too much, and set that piece down right away. I like to take an extra moment here because the pieces sit close together and these seams need to meet neatly. Since this is the main focal point of the box, we definitely want these seams to be absolutely clean and consistent. Then I'll add glue to the second piece, place that right up against the first one. I'll line it up closely, adjusting just a tiny bit if needed. I'm just gently nudging them into place until the tiny gap disappears, using the curve of the window as my guide for alignment. Once I'm satisfied with how those edges meet, I'll press them down firmly. There we go, and that looks really nice and seamless. With the window area done, the last decorative panel goes into the final open space. I'll add glue, line up the last piece, using the other panels as my guide for the placement, and adjust it just a bit until everything looks even all the way around. This is one of those satisfying steps where the whole project starts looking more and more complete with each panel you add. Now, before we put the decorative piece on, I want to fold the crease of the window. You just want to gently run your fingers along this crease, making sure it bends cleanly. This helps the decorative piece lay nicely on the box and prevents the window from wrinkling when the box is handled. Once that is done, I'll close up the box, gluing the final structural tab. I'm pressing down firmly on this tab and I'm making sure the top and bottom edges are perfectly flush, so the box is totally square when it's finished. Just giving that a moment to stick. Since this is the last structural seam, we really want to be patient here and give the glue a good amount of time to cure before we move on. Rushing the step could make the whole box pop open later. Okay, and that looks solid. Now we can finally add our decorative piece. Since this piece will showcase our ornament, which is the focal point, and it really is the face of the box, so I'll carefully apply the glue. And I noticed that I did add a little too much glue on that section. I'm just going to quickly use my finger to spread it around, even out that layer. And you want to make sure you don't have any big blobs that could ooze out and show on the front. Now that the glue is even, I'll just add the panel to the front, centering it, adjusting it gently until it perfectly lines up with the edge of the box. I'm going to take an extra second here to make sure the oval itself is sitting straight and centered on the window and covering it where it needs to be covered. And once I am happy with the placement, I'll press it down firmly, smooth it out so it adheres well. And that looks great. Next, let's officially close the bottom of our box. I'm gluing just the edge of this final flap so the glue doesn't show when I attach it to the other end. You only need a thin line here, and I like to press from the inside to make sure it adheres really well and that the seam is straight. I'm holding it firmly just for a few seconds to let that paper grab and set the shape. With the box structure now closed, I'll attach the decorative bottom panel. I like to quickly check where the best placement would be first, then aligning it loosely with the edges. Just adding a light, even layer of glue here across the back. I line it up precisely with the edges, making sure it sits square, and then smoothing it down. Also, pressing from the inside to make sure it adheres really well. This is coming together so nicely. I love how finished it looks already. Now we can drop in the base insert. This part just slides right into the bottom. Remember, this piece is important for keeping your ornament centered and protected while the box is being handled. So it's worth including. And finally, we finish with the top panel. This is the last piece we need to place. I'm just going to quickly add small, even layer of glue to the back of our panel. And I'm also going to be making a quick change here. I didn't love the first pattern I chose for the top, but luckily I had another one on hand that I think works much better. So I decided to switch it out. And I do like this pattern better. I don't need to add any more glue to the box. What's already there is plenty. It's just paper. I'm simply going to press this one down and give it a good final rub. And now for the very last touch. I'm adding these really pretty sparkly red gemstones. This will give the box a nice finished border around the lid. I'll start by peeling off a row, placing the first row carefully right along the outer lip of the box. Then I'll come back and add a second row right next to it to create a beautiful defined edge. Now, instead of having you watch me add all of them, I'm going to go ahead and finish them off camera. Oh, that looks so pretty. These tiny details always makes me smile. They just elevate the whole project, don't you think? Do you have a favorite detail you like adding to your projects? Something small that just makes it feel so special? Look how beautiful this turned out. Okay, now we need to add our story card to the card holder, and I'll place that inside the box. Here's our story card with the cute little gingerbread man. I think this little detail really makes the whole gift special. I'll place this in the card holder, and then I'll tuck that down here on the side of the box. And now that the story card is in place, the box is complete. I want to show you how easy this type of bow with a hanger is to remove and put back onto the ornament. All you have to do is gently slide the ribbon out, just like this, super simple. Then I'll set the ornament off to the side for a moment. It did give me a little bit of trouble there. And here is our pretty bow hanger. I'm using this red and white decorative string that I'm using for the tag. I'm going to cut a piece to about 6 inches, and then I'll slide one end of the string underneath one side of the ribbon hanger. After that, I'll take the tag and thread the string right through the hole. Then I'll tie a simple knot to secure it. Nothing fancy here, and just trim the ends so it looks neat. Now, let's put our bow hanger back onto the ornament. I'm just going to pinch the very top of the hanger together so it fits through that tiny little opening. It is a tiny space, so I always take my time here and kind of guide it through slowly. Once it pops through to the other side, I'll give it a gentle pull and start adjusting the ribbon so it sits the way I want it to. A little tug here, a little smoothing there, and there we have it, already looking so cute. For one last finishing touch, I'm using a small dowel, but you can use a pencil or anything similar to give that tag a slight curve. I just place the tag over the dowel and roll it downward so it bends. This helps it sit really nicely against the ornament. That tiny detail really helps everything come together. This looks so pretty. Now, let's place our ornament inside the box. I'll take the lid off and then I'll gently place it in. It fits perfectly. I'll tuck in the bow and the hanger so everything stays neat and it doesn't get caught when we close it. And now I can place the lid right on top. I just love how this turned out. And here it is, the finished ornaments with its matching gift boxes. These make such beautiful Christmas gifts. Simple to make, but so meaningful when someone opens them. If you enjoyed this project, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my upcoming DIYs. And remember, I have a free download for the story cards and their matching tags. You can find the link to all the different designs down in the description box below. If you decide to use them for your own gifts, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.